Now the latest from ITV News Meridian in the south.
Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. Burned with drain cleaner, a court is shown CCTV of a scuffle outside a Southampton bar that left a mother scarred for life.
Still no remedy in sight. Junior doctors staged their fourth walkout this year with scores of operations cancelled.
Their sporting chance, royal recognition for the brave servicemen and women who've been chosen to take part in the Invictus Games.
And a show of stripes. A new mum introduces her baby zebra called Spot. Good evening to you. The trial of a man accused of throwing acid in a woman's face has been shown video of him high-fiving a friend just an hour after the attack.
Mother of 6 Carla Whitlock suffered burns when drain cleaner was thrown in her face in Southampton's Guildhall Square last September.
22-year-old Billy Midmore denies causing grievous bodily harm with intent. His brother, Geoffrey Midmore, has pleaded guilty.
Well, from Southampton Crown Court, Kerry Swain has our report.
These pictures were recorded from inside the Turtle Bay Bar and Restaurant, so it's difficult to see what is happening outside. But behind these young people enjoying drinks and dinner, an horrific attack was taking place. This is how Carla Whitlock used to look. This is her after acid was thrown in her face, blind in one eye, scarred for life. Billy Midmore smiled and laughed throughout his evidence, saying it was something he always did when he was nervous. The 22-year-old admitted he used to travel to Southampton to sell drugs, up to £3,000 of crack and heroin every day. CCTV captured Billy Midmore and his older brother Geoffrey in a fast food restaurant on the day of the attack. A box of drain cleaner containing highly concentrated sulfuric acid in clear view on the table in front of them. But Billy said when he was recorded buying drain cleaner, it was because his toilet was blocked and overflowing. The brothers had returned to the shop to get something stronger. Later that evening, after the acid attack, on a train from Southampton to Basingstoke, CCTV shows Billy Midmore slapping hands in a high five. Billy Midmore denies causing grievous bodily harm with intent. His brother Geoffrey has already pleaded guilty to the same charge. The trial continues. Kerry Swain, ITV News, Southampton Crown Court.
A cyclist who was struck by a car in Dorset has died in hospital. Richard Ellis, who was 58, collided with a car on Walgret Road in Wareham on Sunday evening. The driver, a 26-year-old woman from Portland, wasn't hurt.
A 16-year-old girl was seriously assaulted on Christchurch High Street last night. The road was closed for a time while police investigated. She was taken to hospital with a cut to the stomach. A 19-year-old local man has been arrested.
Junior doctors in the south have begun another 48-hour strike, their fourth walkout this year.
It's meant at Poole Hospital more than 100 operations have been cancelled today and tomorrow.
With almost 60 operations rescheduled at Portsmouth's QA Hospital.
And almost 200 outpatient appointments and more than 50 operations have been cancelled at the Royal Surrey County Hospital.
But there are fears of much more disruption when a full-scale strike will take place at the end of this month. Here's Martin Dowse.
At 8 a.m. today, for the fourth time, junior doctors gathered outside hospitals across our region to voice opposition to the new contract, which will now be imposed on them in 4 months' time. The government called their action irresponsible.
I would say that it would be unethical for us to not take action when this dangerous contract would have long-term damage and risk the health of our nation over the long term and the future of the National Health Service.
This contract discriminates unfairly against women. It also hits hardest against the specialties that we need to be protecting, specialties like A&E and psychiatry that are already understaffed and underfunded.
It's not something that we want to do, but we are frankly being pushed into a corner.
In Brighton, local trade unions marched in support of the junior doctors. Talks between the government and the doctors' own union, the British Medical Association, have broken down. The BMA wants a judicial review to challenge the lawfulness of having the contract imposed. Many senior consultants like this cancer specialist, covering for their junior colleagues today, agree with their stance.
We have chemotherapy at the weekends, radiology at the weekends, and we already have junior doctors at the weekends. So trying to force more junior doctors to work at the weekends and pulling them away from the clinics doesn't make sense. For example, I can see 30 patients in a clinic with junior doctor support, but I can only see 10 to 12 without their support. So there's going to be a build-up of patients to be seen, and how's that going to be managed?
Once again, junior doctors have walked out for 48 hours, but agreed to provide emergency cover at hospitals like here at Poole. But the stakes in this dispute will be well and truly raised later this month, when the first ever full walkout in the history of the NHS will be staged. That'll mean all labour will be withdrawn, including emergency cover.
Well, clearly that is a very regrettable situation. It is the first time that this has happened in the NHS, and it is one that we are taking very, very seriously indeed.
The NHS says it had planned ahead again to minimise anxiety and disruption among patients. The next action, though, will mean a lot more planning if that's to be avoided. Marty Dowse, ITV News.
New road technology is to be trialled in the Hindhead Tunnel, aimed at speeding up the recovery of broken down cars. It would allow traffic in the tunnel to be constantly monitored and control centres notified within seconds. It's all part of a £150 million investment by Highways England in new technology on the roads. It also includes trials of driverless cars on some of our motorways.
Safety is really important because of the nature of tunnels. They're enclosed environments, means of access and escape is quite limited, so it's important we pick up these events quickly and we minimise the disruption to our customers, and also providing better, appropriate information to customers using that part of the network.
Do you fancy a driverless car?
With my driving probably safer. What about you?
Well, yeah, I could just go to sleep then, couldn't I? It'd be quite nice, let the car do the driving.
Absolutely. You are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thanks for choosing us. Coming up,
The powerful play written by a teenager and exploring how family life is affected by autism. As ever, for more on all of our stories, do head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, call us please, 0808 10 10 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook, or why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian. A health trust investigated after a teenager drowned in a bath at a disability unit in Oxford has been told it must significantly improve protection of mental health patients. Southern Health NHS Foundation Trust has been given the warning by the Care Quality Commission. Andrew Pate is in our newsroom now. Andrew, last year a damning independent report blamed the trust for failing to investigate deaths, and now today we have the Care Quality Commission's findings. What have they said?
The Care Quality Commission says Southern Health's investigation of incidents has not been robust enough. It feels more should have been done to learn from them to prevent future risks. And it also says concerns raised by patients, their carers and staff have not been effectively responded to. It was in 2013 when Connor Sparrowhawk was found unconscious in the bath at Slade House in Oxford. An independent report said there wasn't adequate supervision at bath times, and an inquest found neglect contributed to his death. Today, Connor's stepfather told us he's not surprised by this warning and feels urgent action is long overdue.
They claimed at the inquest into Connor's death that they'd already learnt lessons. They've told us repeatedly that they've learnt lessons. They said to the CQC after the inspection at Slade House that they were learning lessons. They've claimed to have been putting their house in order for some time. It seems astonishing that a publicly funded and accountable body can repeatedly say it's doing and taking action to be exposed 3 years later, once again, as not having taken those actions and not having learned.
Southern Health NHS Foundation Trust is one of the country's largest mental health trusts, covering Hampshire, Dorset, Wiltshire, Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire. Responding to today's findings, the Chief Executive told us, "I have been very clear and open that we have a lot of work to do to fully address recent concerns. good progress has been made. However, we accept the CQC feels that in some areas we have not acted swiftly enough. I want to assure our patients and their families that I and the board remain completely focused on tackling these concerns as quickly as possible. The Chief Executive also pointed out the Trust's regulator has announced it intends to take action, including possible management changes if progress isn't made.
Andrew, thank you.
The new Chief Constable of Hampshire Police has told the people of the county her priority is to protect the most vulnerable and reduce offending.
Yes, in an open letter, Olivia Pinkney highlighted the need to safeguard those at risk of child sexual exploitation and domestic abuse, and we are delighted to say she joins us now. Olivia, many congratulations. A great appointment. What does it mean to you?
Oh, it's a brilliant opportunity. Hampshire Constabulary is a great police force. I've always known that. I've been in policing for a very long time and I've always known the reputation here. So it is a real privilege to join colleagues here in Hampshire.
Now, as we've said, that your main priority will be protecting the vulnerable. How will you go about that?
Well, that's what the police are for. So our job boils down to protecting the vulnerable, and then also protecting communities and reducing offending is a really important part of that. So what we need to focus on is really understanding and getting upstream of any harm. So of course the best thing is that no harm happens at all. It's always the absence of crime that is the real success factor. So it's about really understanding what vulnerability is out there, making sure we've got great people who know what they're doing, and I'm really impressed. I met a number of people on the front line who deal with vulnerability today and was hugely impressed with what they're doing. And then also working shoulder to shoulder with partners, because actually if one pulls the information that the police have with health, with education, with local authorities, there's a really rich picture actually of what's going on. So between us we can stop any harm happening.
Violent crime presumably must also be an issue. 25,500 cases in Hampshire in the year ended last January, some against your own officers, 59,000 cases of antisocial behaviour. That must be a major concern as well.
Of course it is, and what we know is that violent crime can be a huge blight on individuals. A huge chunk of that will be a domestic abuse issue as well, so that has its own, really tragic difficulties as well. And of course, any assault against our own staff is unacceptable, so it is a concern. And making sure that we're working to prevent that happening is a very important priority for us. So, it shouldn't happen in the first place. There's a whole mixture of reasons why it does. We need to get ahead of that, and I'm very confident that we are doing.
Now, you say to be a good police officer, it's vital to earn trust from communities. And you say police who are seen to be, well, perhaps arrogant, damage public confidence. Has that been a problem? Are the police feared, not trusted?
I don't think that's the experience at all, but what we must never be is complacent. So if one looks at policing in the UK, British policing relies upon the trust and confidence. We only operate with the consent of the public, with the consent of communities. So it's essential that we hold that very lightly in our hands, and we are hugely transparent and are seen to be transparent, and if we have to make difficult decisions we explain why. We don't always make popular decisions, but we should absolutely explain why.
Fairly briefly, your predecessor Andy Marsh was concerned on this programme about morale in the force. How are you going to tackle that poor morale?
My staff, our staff, are really important to me. There's 5,500 of us, volunteers assisting us. It is really important that they feel valued, that they understand what their purpose is, that they know they're being taken care of. This is a family force. I'm really determined to put them right at the heart of that agenda and to work really, really tirelessly to make sure they have the tools, the information, the skills, and that their well-being is taken care of.
We wish you well. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Just gone 14 minutes past 6, and the ITV Evening News continues with the national and the international news at 6:30. Let's now get a preview to London. Alistair Stewart.
A surge in doctors saying they'll leave the country as the contract dispute in England continues. Today's strike saw around 5,000 operations cancelled, but more and more of these medics say they now want to work abroad. Relatives of the Hillsborough victims prepare for the verdicts. It may take some time, but the inquests are over and the jury is now deciding. And Harry gives pride of place at the palace to the disabled veterans and serving men and women who'll represent Britain at next month's Invictus Games. Join Nina Hussain and me at 6:30.
We certainly will, and of course more on the Invictus Games a little later on in the show. Now from today, all dog owners must have their pets microchipped or face a fine. The chips contain a code that is linked to a database containing contact details. Animal rescue charities hope the new law will help reunite more lost animals with their owners. Those who don't comply could be fined up to £500. Well, this week is Autism Awareness Week, and a young playwright from Sussex has drawn on the experiences of his own family to explore the condition. Tom Page from Sussex has an older brother who's autistic.
Well, now the teenager has written a powerful drama which will be performed at this year's Brighton Fringe. Malcolm Shaw has the story.
You right, matey? Oh,
Adam?
It's a darkly comic work depicting life in a family where one member has autism. The central character, Adam, dreams of travelling the world.
Head stateside for a slice of the Big Apple, then make your own way across the US, ending in star-studded LA before flying over to Fiji for a little slice of paradise.
But tension mounts when his brother announces his own gap year plan first.
Is it because of Oscar and Bryony's little holiday? Well, that's all it is, a little holiday. They'll be back before you know it.
Adam is played by Tom Page, who also wrote the drama. His character draws on his experiences living with his older brother Ben, who's autistic.
He's got to learn he can't throw his weight around like that.
It's not meant to be sad. It's not meant to, well, there are sad moments in the play, but it's not meant to show, look how bad life is for a family living with autism. It's meant to show the struggles they go through, but also that there's a lot of humour in it as well. There's extremely funny moments, even in a fight when in the play. We try and make that as humorous as you can do.
So who'd like some breakfast?
The play is called The Booler Loop, named after a type of round-the-world ticket.
You tense up the stomach muscles, okay, so that it's safe. Okay, just do that one more time.
The drama began life as an A-level project when Tom was studying here at Eastbourne College. The former TV actor Tim Marriott is directing the performance.
We're trying to encourage people to have a broader view, more of a view about what autism is, but also it's a play for anybody who's lived as part of a family that spends 24 hours together, bickering, snapping at each other, fighting, literally fighting, and then somehow at the end of the day everyone comes together and has dinner together and we start all over again.
The Booler Loop will be showcased at this year's Brighton Fringe, the play set to illuminate the reality of autism, condition which is much discussed but less well understood. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Eastbourne.
More drama now, an international sporting extravaganza. Sarah Gom.
Thank you very much, Fred. Well, we'll start on the water because it's been an important day in the British rowing calendar. The GB squad for the European Championships in Germany next month has been announced, but it's also an indication of who is likely to be in the boats at the Olympics in Rio. Penny Sylvester has been to the Caversham training lakes near Reading to find out more.
They're calling it the strongest squad ever assembled for British rowing. After intensive winter training, these athletes are among the best in the world. It's exactly 4 months to the start of the Olympics. Today's announcement has been the squad for the European Championships next month, but it's a strong indicator of who'll be going to Rio and in which boat. Leading the squad are the reigning Olympic, world and European champions Helen Glover and Heather Stanning.
It's the childhood dream of going to an Olympics, getting on a plane, going somewhere exotic, and what could be more exciting than going to Rio?
Alex Gregory from Wallingford says he's thrilled to be selected in the men's four.
It's the boat I raced in London 2012, and so I'm really pleased to be racing with the guys that I'm racing with as well. The 3 guys in the boat sitting ahead of me are incredible athletes, genuinely amazing specimens of men, and so it's very exciting.
Frances Horton from Oxford is the longest serving member of the British rowing team. She'll be in the women's 8, aiming for her 5th Olympics.
I'm so excited, but it's like a jar with a lid on. I can't let myself, really get too excited yet. It's tantalisingly close, but the job at hand right now is that performance at the Europeans to get that next stage done.
The next 4 months racing, including the Euros in Germany, will help fine-tune the squad. Each one of these athletes is determined to be on the plane to Rio. Penny Sylvester, ITV News, Reading.
Right, on to football, and Brighton kept the pressure on Burnley and Middlesbrough, who occupy the Championship's automatic promotion places, with 3 points from Birmingham last night. After conceding early on, goals either side of the break from Connor Goldson and Lewis Dunk claimed the win. Victory keeps the Seagulls just a point off the top two. Reading made it back-to-back wins with this 2-1 victory over Nottingham Forest at the Madejski. They too went a goal down in the first half before second-half strikes from Mate Vidra and Oliver Norwood extended Reading's unbeaten run at home to 8 matches. One other result from League One, Swindon lost 2-0 at Oldham. Now, the team for this year's Invictus Games has been unveiled as the countdown to the Orlando event continues. The team is made up of servicemen and women who are overcoming serious physical or mental injuries and is all about aiding recovery and rehabilitation. Nearly 200 took part in trials to join the team, and those who'd been successful met Games founder Prince Harry at Buckingham Palace today. From there, David Wood reports.
ITV Meridian Sports Report, sponsored by WeWantAnyCar.com, the Cash for Cars website.
They have fought together before, but this time it's about beating injury. Meet our team for next month's Invictus Games. Military medic Kelly Leyden-Farrer from Salisbury has serious post-traumatic stress, and she is due to take part in the shot put and discus events. What's it like being part of this team?
To be honest, it's amazing. I haven't played any sport for a couple of years with being injured, but just getting back into the sport has been amazing. Absolutely great, to be honest. I've missed the buzz, the adrenaline, the friendly banter, everything, so I'm really enjoying it.
It'll be the second time the Invictus Games is being held. The first was in London back in 2014 and inspired many more injured servicemen and women to take up sport. So much so that the majority of this year's team weren't involved last time round. And the team's captain says training is a great way to overcome injury.
Some people, find it very tricky, and actually that definition of self can be negative and rearward facing. I'm an ex-soldier, I'm a wounded soldier, all negative things. Well, actually, we've got 110 individuals now who can look at themselves in the bathroom mirror in the morning and say, do you know what, I don't need to define myself by that anymore. I'm now an international athlete.
The official flag of the Games has been passed to the American team captain, and Prince Harry will be in Orlando to support his former colleagues.
He's seen a lot of what we've all been through and been surrounded by that military mentality, which makes him get it completely. But having that high-profile support, and it's so honest as well, that it just creates a great atmosphere for us all.
Some of these athletes have only recently taken up their chosen sports, but the time for photos and chatting is over, and training becomes their main focus. As gold is their goal next month. David Wood, ITV News.
Finally, the ECB has confirmed 3 England players will be joining the Hampshire-based Southern Vipers to play in the new Super League this season. Captain Charlotte Edwards, Lydia Greenway and Natasha Farrant all arrived at the Ageas Bowl today, even helping out at a coaching session. They'll compete against teams from around the country at Hampshire this summer.
The game's progressing rapidly at the moment, and and to think, again, that in my time there's going to be this Super League is, honestly, I didn't think it was going to happen, and so I guess it's given me a new lease of life. I want to, get stuck into this. It's great to sort of have a blank canvas with a team like the Southern Vipers. So it's really, really, really exciting, and like I say, I can't wait to get started.
And their first match will be against the Surrey Stars on Sunday, the 31st of July at the Ageas Bowl. So beware the Vipers.
Well, Sarah, thank you very much indeed.
An Oxford University professor has confirmed something we may know already. Women spend more time on the phone than men.
No, never.
Yes, they do.
Can't be true.
It is. The research by Robin Dunbar shows that although young men make more calls, women are on for longer, an extra 2.5 hours a month. The study highlights the differences in the way the genders maintain their friendships. Women are more caring, I think.
Of course they are. That's the answer. Now, the arrival of a baby zebra is being celebrated at the Cotswold Wildlife Park. The foal, despite his distinctive stripes, has been named Spot and is the first large mammal birth at the park this year. Mother Zena gave birth inside his stable, where he spent his first few weeks away from public view. Now, Spot is now exploring the paddock and is the 6th member to join the Dazzle, which is a collective noun for a group of zebras. Now, really, they should have called him Razzle, then it'd bring on the old Razzle Dazzle.
See if you can spot tonight's weather presenter. Here he is, Alex Beresford.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Hello, good evening. It has been a fairly decent day, some bright and sunny spells, but also just 1 or 2 scattered showers coming through, and that will be the case over the next few days. Scattered showers, some rain at times, more sunshine to come, but also some breezy and cool conditions, and that's exactly what we've seen through today and we'll continue to see over the next 24 hours. We've also got a band of rain which is going to be making its way down from the northwest overnight and through the morning time tomorrow, so it will be a bit of a disappointing start to the day. For the time being, however, it is going to be on the drier side, so most of the showers will die out tonight. We will hold on to some clear breaks, and that does mean some fairly chilly temperatures down to around 2-3 degrees out in the countryside. These are the lows we're expecting in towns and cities. So a fresh start tomorrow morning, still noticeably breezy at times, with the cloud cover increasing from the northwest, and with it outbreaks of rain, all pushing eastwards through the daytime, brightening up before the end of the day, staying on the cool side with a high of 10 degrees. Watch out for those showers.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, in just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Nina Hussain.
Divya Coatley's got our late news, so do try and join her if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed, as always, for watching. Take good care of yourself. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.